Hi, this is Rose, and you are listening to the Sovereign Soul podcast. I support awakening souls live beyond their ego and limitations so that they can know true freedom. I want to talk about personal responsibility. I bang on about the same things because these things are the foundation to get change, and then you have to implement them all the time. It's not just a once-off thing. There is nothing about healing that is just a once-off thing. It is a process, and that process builds on itself, just like everything else in life. There's no getting off the train. If you're on that train, you're going to be on that train for the rest of your life. Sometimes you might get fed up, because I think that's a normal human response to go, oh my fuck, is this still happening? Or what's with the onslaught? Generally, the onslaughts are because we're not getting the lesson. We're not getting the point. And that goes hand in hand with personal responsibility. So I'm going to give you a little story of my life and what made me really wake up. In 2016, I was still married, and I was in a relationship with someone. We'd been married for 8 years. We got 3 children together, and the relationship was challenging, to say the least. And I personally thought that because I loved this person as much as I did, because I really did, I loved this person the most, I think, out of anybody, or however you can gauge that, like within a relationship, I really felt like I gave my all in this one. And in that, I had a lot of fairy tales attached. I had a lot of expectations attached, and most importantly, a lot of expectations placed onto him of who I wanted him to be. And that's all well and good, but if the person that you are with is not displaying the qualities that you're seeking in a partner, you can't turn around and blame them for not having them if you haven't been willing to acknowledge the fact that they didn't have them in the first place. And this is really why relationships are so challenging for people, because we want people to be who we want them to be, not who they show us that they are. So I had been in this relationship, like I say, for 8 years, longer than that, but let's just say 8 years to round it off. And I wanted this to be the one. I wanted my kids to stay in a family unit. I wanted so much to succeed at this relationship that I was lying to myself and playing the victim. Now, playing the victim is the complete opposite of personal responsibility, because you can't be responsible for yourself if you feel powerless, like everything's happening to you, and if I'm going, poor me, and it's not my fault that everything's wrong in the relationship, it's all his fault. That's no empowerment at all. That is the complete opposite of personal responsibility and personal empowerment and personal sovereignty. It's the opposite side of the scale. It is victim consciousness. We do not grow from being a victim. So my big aha moment came at the end of our relationship, when I realized he wasn't going to change. And I know that sounds awful, because we shouldn't need people to change in order to be in a relationship with them. And honestly, that's the conclusion I have come to in all the relationships that I have left, that I'm needing that person to be something different in order for me to be happy within that relationship. That's not fair to that person. In this particular relationship, I wanted to believe every single lie that he had told me. And did he lie to me? constantly. He said a lot of stuff, but the actions never followed. And I stayed in that cognitive dissonance and lying to myself for 8, 9 years because I wanted to believe his lies. And then it was really easy when he didn't live up to the things he was saying to blame him. That was like an easy cop out. And I honestly thought that I was right. I was innocent because I was all the good things. I was loyal, I was committed, I loved him dearly, I was absolutely honest with him. And the fact that he couldn't give me those things, and the fact that we didn't actually have trust, and therefore we didn't even really have emotional safety, I just overlooked all of that. And what happened was, we were supposed to be really working on our relationship and our marriage because we had 3 years of trial separation. It's a long time. I didn't want to give up. Like I say, I really wanted it to succeed. And it dawned on me that he was not going to be the person I wanted him to be. And this made me so angry. And I felt so justified in my anger because I had been lied to. And it wasn't my fault, like I'd wasted my life. That's really how I felt. And I started getting these massive hives on my body. And then the worst was when I got a big one across my face. And I was like, oh my goodness me, this huge welt across my eye. I'm going to have to do something about this because clearly whatever I'm feeling is poisoning the fuck out of me. So I went and I sat in a kind of meditation. And I just introspected as to what was going on with me. And I came to this life-changing realization that I was responsible for the pain I was going through, for the anger I felt, for the blame I felt. If anyone was to blame, was me. And I don't need to be cross with him. I don't need to be upset with him. He was just being who he was, who he showed me right from the beginning. And shame on me for not seeing it. Shame on me for staying and giving my power over to somebody who was incapable of being honest with me and clear with me and transparent with me and loyal to me. That wasn't his fault in a sense. It was just his makeup. And this totally blew my mind. I really stepped into such a deep space of power. I never got upset again like that. I never got another hive. I just started becoming more and more centered in myself to be able to focus on what was in my power, and that was me. And this was also the beginning of my own soul healing journey. And that personal responsibility, I have only grown on that. That knowing in myself of when I'm feeling disempowered has shown me completely and entirely when I'm being a victim. And still to this day, if I feel overpowered by something, I know I'm being a victim to it. So I need to shift and change that to see what is it that I need to gain from this thing so that I can move past it, so that I don't keep hitting my head. And it really has changed my entire trajectory of life through that absolute grounded knowing that I am responsible for the way other people treat me. I am responsible for the relationships I have and how I relate to them. And I'm responsible to set boundaries. I'm responsible to have my back, even if it's so friggin' difficult because you feel in love with somebody, or it's like a energetic connection or an addiction almost when you've been in relationships for so long or any length of time. There's an entanglement and it's always really hard to get out of that. So personal responsibility has the power to change your life, but you can't actually practice it if you're not honest with yourself. So you have to ask yourself, are you still justifying the way you feel, the way you're looking at something, justifying your victim to feel powerless? That is the main question you have to ask yourself, because if you're still making excuses for it, you're never going to be able to move past it. So honesty, brutal self-honesty goes hand in hand with that personal responsibility, just as taking the right action. So I in turn went and applied for a divorce, and I followed through with that and just kept moving towards my own independence, away from that toxic situation, and I've never looked back. But I had to take that action, and it wasn't easy. I had to face all the ugly things I didn't want to face. Okay, my kids were going to be in a broken home again. Okay, I was going to be raising them completely on my own. And okay, the marriage was a failure, and that hurt me so much. I really struggled with that because it was my second marriage, all these things, and I had to face it. I had to face my idea of a fairy tale relationship that wasn't existent, and that was okay. So there was a lot of honesty I had to pick out in that, but I continued to walk the walk. And now it's like 10 years later, and I'm still walking that walk, and you can never put it down. So like I say, when you're on the train, you're on it. You're never going to get off. I was on this train long before then, but I would say that personal responsibility, again, was a pivotal thing in my own growth and understanding and ability to really, really deeply heal and become a more empowered human being. Okay, so that's it for this episode. Thanks for listening if you did. I hope it was helpful. If you have had a similar situation, or maybe you're stuck in a situation and you can't see it, I would love to hear from you. I am always available for connection. So please feel free to reach out.